Hey YouTube, I want to do a cool video about Amazon Flex, the GPS system, and some help for drivers that are getting really frustrated about the GPS. My advice for using Amazon Flex GPS: don't. It's just not worth the hassle and the frustration. It can be nice, but also, I'm sure, as you found by this point, if you've been doing Amazon Flex for any amount of time, it ends up taking you down streets and alleys and backsides of people's houses, the neighborhood behind where you're supposed to be. You know, it'll tell you to go into a cul-de-sac because it's close to the pinpoint, but it's like the wrong street. So what I say is just avoid all that frustration. Use the map that's on the Amazon Flex app as a loose guideline to where you're supposed to be. Like while you're in the neighborhoods cruising around, just look at the map, look at where you're supposed to be, look at where you've been, and say, oh, okay, the delivery is just right up here, up the road to the right, you know, based on where you've been. And you'll see what I mean after a while. And if you don't, just try to work with it the best you can. But my recommendation is don't push that navigate button. Just push start travel, and then it'll just show you where you're supposed to be and where you are, and you can use the map to get there. That's when you're out on the road on the delivery. Now, when you're leaving the warehouse, I always see what my first stop is, and then I just go to Google Maps and I put in the address on Google Maps, and make sure, if you ever do this and use Google Maps, make sure that once you've put in the address or you've spoke the address, that it's actually taking you to that address. Because I've had it a dozen times, you know, where I say an address and then I just start following it blindly, and it's taking me to like a totally different town or whatever, and I'm going the wrong way. So you always got to make sure, if you're going to use Google Maps, you know, make sure that that address that you said or put in, it's actually taking you there. And you can do that by, you know, once you put it in, it'll show you the location you're going to. It'll have the address listed again. You can double check it, but just always double check that you're doing that right. And like I was saying, don't follow what I say, you know, as far as what you're going to do. But I recommend it. For me, it works out great, and I've been delivering stuff forever, so I'm really good with like streets and, you know, numbers and knowing where stuff is on a map. But if you let that Amazon Flex navigation guide you around, you're going to end up lost and frustrated so many times. You're so much better off just looking at that map and just being familiar, just being aware of your surroundings. Just look around and say, oh, well, that house is right over there. But for some reason, it's not showing that street going through on the Amazon Flex navigation. There's no street there. But I know that street exists because I'm looking at it and I can see it going right over there. So just trust yourself. Look around. Trust that where you are, you know, and looking around, that, oh, I can just get to that address by just going right over here. And be aware, because it'll try to put you around on the next street or the next block, and you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be on the street you're on already. And so that navigation is very misleading. And I'm sure if you've been doing it for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So my recommendation, like I said, use Google Maps to get you to your first stop. That way it'll take you the best traffic route, and you're not going to be frustrated. And just that robot voice on the Amazon Flex is so annoying. It's just way worse than the Google Voice Maps voice, in my opinion. And then once you're out there, just, you know, use the map as a loose guideline to where your next stop is supposed to be. And, you know, don't rely on the navigation too much. So that's my advice. You can try it and see what you think. For me, it works a lot better. But the most important thing, oh, and this is huge, they do not want you running past your allotted block time. So let's say you have a 4-hour block, and you're out there in the middle of your deliveries, and it's sending you all the way to the edge of your area. Then your next stop brings you in 5 miles, and then your next stop is 5 miles out again. There comes a point where you got to stop delivering. Like if you got a half an hour left in your block and you have like 10 packages left, stop delivering, mark the other items, mark them all, go into your question mark and say unable to deliver this item because item will be too late. Because they don't want you out delivering past your block time, so you can stop delivering and bring your stuff back to the warehouse, so you can fall within your 4-hour block time. Because they don't want you out there delivering, you know, 4.5, 5 hours on a block that you're only getting paid 4 hours for. Plus, if you're not going to be able to deliver some items, they need those items back. So, like, this is my thing. Okay, if you're going to finish your block and not have to bring any items back, then it's worth staying out the whole 4 hours, maybe a little bit past 4 hours, to get them all delivered and get them dropped off so you don't have to go back to the warehouse. But if you have a return already that you have to bring back to the warehouse anyway, and then you're starting to run up against the edge of your time in your block, stop 30 minutes or whatever it is that's going to take you to get back to the warehouse, mark all the rest of your items unable to deliver because it'll be too late, and go back and return them. And they are okay with that because they'll just send them out on the next route anyway, and then they don't have a bunch of frustrated drivers running past their block time. You can check with your local warehouse, but that's what they told me at mine is, you know, I had a bunch of packages that I brought back after 4.5 hours, and the guy's like, I really needed those packages back here at the end of your 4-hour block. I don't want you out there running around past your 4 hours. So, I mean, maybe some warehouses are different. They want you to get them done no matter what, but that's what my experience has been and what they've told me. So don't take it for gold. You know, maybe ask at your warehouse, but if you're having a problem with that, where you're running up against, especially if you have a block where you're just like, this block is running me around all over town to these crazy places, I don't think I'm going to get this done, let them know that, and then ask them, you know, is it okay if I return back here at the end of my 4 hours, even if I haven't returned these? And they'll probably tell you that's fine. Because we're just trying to satisfy the Amazon customers. You know, we're trying to get them their stuff, and we'll deliver 2 or 3 times a day to the same customer just to try to get a package delivered. You know, if it's in an unsafe location or whatever, we'll keep sending the guy back. So it's not like you're not trying your best to get that package out there. You're just running up against your own time constraint. And that's fine. Amazon totally understands that. So, I mean, I'm not speaking for Amazon, but that's been my experience, and that's the impression they've given me. That's all I can basically say. That about wraps it up, though. If you have questions for me specifically, I know I covered a lot, and there's a lot of frustration about the navigation. So feel free to ask any questions if you need to. Thank you so much for watching.